Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Anna, and this is Tales from the Craft Room. I hope you're all having a good day. Mine's just getting started. Once again, I am up a little bit early. This is Saturday. I don't watch the grandson, but since my body is programmed to be up a little earlier, it helps to get up a little bit earlier because, I always thought it was weird growing up that my mom and dad would get up at the crack of dawn because they said they couldn't lay in bed any longer. I just thought that was weird, being a teenager, it's like, you stay in bed all day if you could, right? I totally get that now. There is no way that I could stay in bed all day. Yeah, seems like it's getting earlier, not because I want to get up, but because my body says I have to get up. Anyway, today, I thought I would share with you the progress that I made on that Boo-Tiful hat. So if you missed yesterday's video, I said I had startitis. I am happy to say that I did not start anything else. I didn't even think about it. My focus was on this yarn right here. This is the Hirschner's Worsted Halloween Sparkle yarn. This color is Boo-Tiful. Of orange and some gray and some white and some black in there. Actually, there's two colors of gray. There's a light gray and a dark gray. But yeah, I chugged along. I didn't bring it with me, but I did do a couple more rows on that other one that I had started yesterday, the one with the baby yarn. I think I did maybe 2 more rows on it. Not a whole lot, because my focus was this, because this hat, I'm making hat, if you didn't see yesterday's video, this hat is working up so nicely. It blows my mind. I've never had a hat work up this nicely with actual knitting needles before. So, if you remember, I'm using these knitting needles right here. These are circular needles. These are some that I found that I'd forgotten that I had. My main reason for not liking them originally is because they were kind of bent and the memory on the cables were kind of annoying. They were coiled up real good, and yeah, well, over the years since I've had them and not used them, and they've just been hanging around, they must have forgot that they were coiled up or something, because they're not like that anymore. This is amazing. And if you notice, I do have one of these clippy thingies on here. This is to hold my needles together. It won't slide off, but this holds my needles together so that my project doesn't accidentally slide off the end in transport, because yeah, that would be a disaster, because I would just have to frog the whole hat, and then I would probably not finish it, because I probably wouldn't start it again, because yeah, well, anyway. So, that being said, I think I'll scoot these down just a little bit. No, I'll just take it off for now, so that you can kind of get the whole picture of this hat. So, let's see, let's untangle. Tangling is never good. So, actually, I'm using the same pattern that I did for the previous hat that I made that I showed you yesterday. This one right here. It is a free pattern on Yarnspirations. I shared it in yesterday's video, so if you'd like to see that, go back and check it out. The main difference is the pattern actually has you knit the hat flat. I am not a fan of flat knitting for the hat because I don't like sewing hats up. I don't like sewing much of anything up when I'm crocheting, but for sure not hats. So I am doing this one in the round, and I am also doing, since I'm using the larger needles, because these needles, normally I do a size 7 knitting needle. It's what my standard circulars are that I use for hats. But these, I think it might be an 8 maybe, but is equivalent to using an I hook in crochet instead of an H hook, which 7 would be H. So I think 8 is probably an I. That's what this is. I was skeptical when I first started using these, thinking, oh, they're going to be too big. It's going to be too light and airy, too holy, because I live in Kansas and we can get some pretty good wind here. So I try to make my hats especially for my preschoolers, which I realize they're probably not going to go out and play when it's super cold and windy, but you never know. But I try to make them thick and warm. That doesn't always happen because, you know, knit hats usually are thin unless you do use a thicker yarn. But anyway, I put a stitch marker in approximately where I was yesterday, which was right there. I had just done a few rows of the ribbing, but boy, I sure trucked along with this hat. I believe we will measure it here, but I think I'm just right past 5 inches maybe. Let's see where we're at. I'm gonna be careful not to slide this off. Yeah, we're just right about 5.5 inches, if you can see that. And I've decided on this one, since I don't, the DPNs that I have that would work with that, I do have some smaller ones which I could use, but every time I use DPNs, everything gets so loosey-goosey and, you know, stretched out and wonky, and laddering happens. I'm not real good with DPNs at all. My plan is I'm about 5.5, so that means I've got about 3.5 inches left to go. My plan is to go to knit 9 inches and then drawstring the hat closed like you would with a loom hat or, you know, an Addy hat or something like that. So that is the plan. Yeah, 5.5 inches. I probably went, that's probably about a 1/2 inch right there. So I probably went a good 5 inches yesterday. I was really trucking along. This is working up really easy, and it is not, it seems to be fairly, you know, tight, like it's squishy. And yeah, so far I am really liking working with this yarn on these needles. I don't know if it's just this particular yarn, or if it's these needles, or maybe it's just, you know, my progression with, you know, honing in on my knitting skills. I don't know, but I'm really enjoying this hat, and I do expect to get this finished probably today. So hopefully next time I see you guys, I will have a finished hat minus the tails. Oh, and I do want to share one little thing. I'm going to put, pardon me, I'm going to put my clippies on here so that we don't lose anything. Because like I said, that would be a disaster. That'd be a real disaster. I'm probably going to jinx myself too, but I will say, as of right now, there are no boo-boos on this hat. No boo-boos. Fingers crossed it stays that way. But as I was going along on this black row down here, there was a knot in the yarn. So I don't know if the black, because I'm getting back around to the black, because, you know, it started out with the light gray, and then the darker gray, and then the black. So, actually the white, and then the darker gray. So we've done the white, and we're currently working on the darker gray. So I don't know if the next black stripe will be short like this, or if it will actually be the thicker stripe like the rest of them. I'm going to guess probably the thicker stripe. But the black actually had a knot in it that was not tied very good at all. So what I did, I played it smart this time. Normally I would just knot it and go on, and hopefully that the knot didn't end up on the outside of the hat. What I did was, this is just a temporary tie. I do notice now that it is a little bit loose. I will have to go back and tighten it up a little bit. But I took it and I just left the one yarn from where I was at, and then just, you know, I snipped it. Actually, I didn't have to snip it. It just came apart on me. But I just held the other yarn and then looped and started my next stitch. And then I went back and I tied it later, kind of like you would do on an Addy hat. I think that gave it a much cleaner, and it, like I said, I don't know if you can tell, it's right in there, but it is a little bit looser there. So when I'm done with the hat, I will go back and tighten that up a little bit so that it is a little bit tighter. So yeah, I'm super excited about this. I can't wait to get back working on this hat today. Hopefully I have time. If I don't have time today, I should have time tonight after work. But anyway, yeah, there's my progress. I thought you guys would like to see that and wonder what I've been up to, and that's it. So I'm gonna edit this video and get it uploaded, and while it's uploading, I'm going to work on this hat some more before I head off to work. So see y'all later, and I hope you have a great weekend.